with a statement. Tyler Adams, captain of the U.S. men's national team, took to Twitter. Part of his thoughts, quote, "As players, we have a tremendous amount of respect for the work of journalists, and Grant's was a giant voice in soccer that has tragically fallen silent." That from the captain of the U.S. men's national team. Becky Sauerbrunn, captain of the U.S. women, tweeted the following, quote, "The soccer community lost a real one today, and for women's soccer, one of the originals who helped drive our sport forward. Grant Wahl never shied away from asking the tough questions, the right questions, the ones that got to the heart of the matter. He will be greatly missed." Of course, the reaction, as I mentioned, not limited to the soccer world. Anyone who knows Grant will know that one of the pieces he was most proud of over his career was the 2002 Sports Illustrated cover story, which introduced a teenage LeBron James to the mainstream sports fan. And after last night's Lakers game, LeBron shared his thoughts on Grant.
Very fond of Grant, and you know, having that that cover shoot, you know, me being a teenager and him covering that, it was a pretty cool thing, and he was always pretty cool to be around. He spent a lot of time in my hometown of Akron, covering me over the course of time before that shoot came out, and or before that cover story came out, and I've always kind of watched from a distance. You know, even when I, you know, moved up in the ranks and became a professional, and you know, he kind of went to a different sport and things of that nature over the years. Anytime his name would come up, I'll always think back to me as a teenager and having Grant, you know, in our building down at St. V. So it's a tragic loss. It's a unfortunate, you know, to lose someone as great as he was. You know, and I wish his family, like I said, the best, and you know, may he rest in paradise.
All right, Herc, you mentioned you were on Twitter last night, like I was, just scrolling, seeing all the Grant stories that everybody has. Is there one for you that stands out particularly, a thought on his impact, his legacy?
You know, when I was growing up, there was a few magazines that did sports that I always would look at. When I was in a doctor's office or when I was at the dentist's office, you had the Sports Illustrated on the coffee table or in the waiting room. And you go through it. You're like, Sports Illustrated, that's pretty cool. And I always wanted to be on Sports Illustrated. And here comes Grant Wahl, convinces Sports Illustrated to fly him out and do a story on me. Grant Wahl tells me he's going to do a story on me, and he wants to be in Torreon, and he wants to kind of get to see how I live, speak to my coach, Pedro Caixinha, what it's like for an American to play at Santos, in Mexico. Comes down to Torreon. Wouldn't let me receive him in my home. No, I got this, his own hotel. Was gracious enough to accept coming out to dinner with my then girlfriend, now wife, and a few friends. Few bottles of wine. Yeah. Go by. And what I thought I knew about the American landscape, the who's who's and the what's, I had no idea of. And Grant had a, believe it or not, a funny way of being funny, of disarming you, of almost self-deprecating, of making fun of himself in a way. And just kind of told me what he thought about me, where I was at, and what I could do. It was just incredibly kind. I just remember dinner. And then after that, go back years later, and we're colleagues at Fox, Copa America, and him pulling me aside and really telling me the opportunity I had of his, in his own words, being a Mexican-American superstar on TV. A legacy or a name I don't think I'll ever live up to. But coming from him, I thought that was wild. He was just always kind. I mentioned the text messages at the height of anything in my life. He was always the first one to reach out, and I regret that.
His impact, you see, it's funny you mentioned the dinner. The picture that I found in my phone first of Grant was this from the 2016 Olympics. We were obviously both covering the U.S. women's national team, and Cruzeiro was playing a game. They were actually playing it at the same stadium where the U.S. famously beat England in the 1950 World Cup. And we watched the game. It was a great game. And, you know, you've seen a lot on Twitter, people talk about Grant's, like, genuine love for the game. So after the game ends, Grant wanders down to the field and kind of starts negotiating with the security guard to see if he can get on the field and get a piece of grass. I don't think he was successful ultimately. Kind of my memory fails me there. But it just went to show you how much he genuinely loved not just the sport, but the history of it and the story.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.